Hi, and welcome to That's Ready Mysterious. Join me for an intriguing look into real-life mysteries. Who was the mad gasser of Mattoon? What was whaling at the Wilga waterhole? I'm not going to solve those mysteries, but they'll be interesting to learn about. I'm your host, Kelly with an I. Transcripts and references for all episodes can be found at that'sreadymysterious.wordpress.com. No apostrophe and no exclamation point. Today's tale is about Karl-Erivan Haub. Billionaire Karl-Erivan Haub was born on March 2, 1960 in Tacoma, Washington. He was a dual German U.S. citizen. Since the year 2000, Haub was the head of Tengelmann Group, a German retail group that was established in 1867 and had over 75,000 employees as of April 7, 2018, with his brother Christian. He was thought to have died on April 7, 2018 on a skiing trip. What really happened to Karl-Erivan Haub? On April 7, 2018, Haub went on a solo ski trip in the Swiss Alps 1 month after the death of his father, Erivan Haub. The elder Haub was worth about $6.4 billion at the time of his death. Karl was training for a ski mountaineering race. He disappeared under the famous Matterhorn Peak in Zermatt-Vallée, Switzerland, near the southern border of Italy. He was last seen on April 7th and was reported missing when he hadn't returned to the hotel by the next day. Haub was last seen wearing skis and a day pack. Authorities searched for Haub for 6 days without finding him. The family gave up thinking they'd find him within a week. The search officially ended in October of 2018. They used 5 helicopters and teams of rescuers searched the area from which he disappeared. In October of 2020, Karl-Erivan's brothers, Christian and George, applied to have him declared dead. In January of 2021, however, George withdrew his application. The application had angered Karl-Erivan's wife, but she eventually joined it along with her children. In 2021, a German court in the city of Cologne declared Karl-Erivan Haub dead as of the day he disappeared, April 7, 2018. The court said, "Opinions to the contrary presented on the file are based on possibilities, assumptions, and non-verifiable documents," continuing that they were not sufficient to remove the serious doubts about the continued existence of the missing person. Karl-Erivan Haub left behind a wife and 2 children. As of the day of Karl-Erivan's disappearance, his brother Christian took over full control of Tengelmann. In April of 2021, Karl-Erivan Haub's heirs agreed to sell shares of Tengelmann Warenhandels KG to Christian. The sale was to be finalized in May of that year. Everyone thought Karl-Erivan Haub was dead, but then things got weird. In May of 2023, journalists with the German broadcaster RTL were investigating Haub's disappearance and filed a complaint against Christian, saying that Karl-Erivan could have faked his own death. In April of 2024, the state prosecutor's office in Cologne started an investigation into whether Christian lied when he said that he had no information showing that Karl-Erivan might still be alive. The prosecutor's office said that there wasn't enough evidence to confirm that Haub was alive and therefore no reason to request annulment of his death certificate. A journalist with RTL, Liv von Boetiger, said that she knew of pictures that were allegedly of Haub in Moscow in 2021, proving he was still alive. She said, "As far as I know, these photos were obtained on behalf of Christian Haub and 2 internal investigators working for him by an Israeli-American company that searched the biometric surveillance system in Moscow for images of Karl-Erivan Haub." Police said that the pictures had a coincidence in appearance between Haub and person in images of about 90%. As far as Boetiger knew, Christian had possession of the pictures in May of 2021 when he said under oath that he didn't have any reliable evidence to prove that his brother was alive. She said that there was evidence that Karl-Erivan Haub disappeared on purpose and that some of his family was aware of that fact. Most recent evidence shows that Karl-Erivan might have a younger woman's significant other in Moscow. Her name is Veronika Ermolova. She's 44 years old and has ties to Russia's FSB. Ermolova ran an inconspicuous event agency that ran skiing, hiking, and climbing trips for outdoor enthusiasts. Rumors about the two being a couple have been swirling since 2020. In 2008, Haub and Ermolova were both supposedly in Moscow and in Japan's Sochi around the same time. In May of 2009, both supposedly traveled on the same night train from Moscow to St. Petersburg, although they did not travel in the same compartment. The trips, however, were both booked by the same person. The pair was in Omsk, Russia in 2010, in Sochi, Japan in 2011, in Baku, Azerbaijan in 2014, and in Moscow, Russia in both 2015 and 2017. The report added that it wasn't evident why these supposed meetings took place and that it didn't sound like a love vacation. In the 3 days prior to his disappearance, Haub allegedly called Ermolova 13 times. The calls were long, with one lasting over an hour. It's rumored that Haub also had a Russian passport in addition to his German and US passports. There were even rumors that millions of euros was sent from Tangleman to Russia between 2010 and 2015. Bodicher said that there was an alleged lover of Karl-Erivan Haub with whom he had intense telephone contact before his disappearance and who has connections with the Russian domestic intelligence service, the FSB. She also said that based on that, there were investigations done by internal investigators in some agencies in Russia. She said, "There is a record that shows the investigators assumed Haub was in Russia and also said they could get a photo of him for 100,000 euros, about $100,000. Bodicher thinks Haub's disappearance is a result of shady business dealings. Did Karl-Erivan Haub disappear of his own volition? Or did he die on the ski slopes of the Swiss Alps? Is he hiding in Russia? Why would he want to disappear? What do you think? Leave a comment and let me know what you think. Thanks for listening to today's episode of That's Ready Mysterious. Join me next week for another captivating mystery.